Knives Out, a 2019 movie about dead rich white man and his rich white family want all of his money. I didn't want to watch this. It didn't look good to me. I didn't really like Murder on the Orient, and Knives Out seemed too similar to it. Both movies have a star-studded cast inside of a murder mystery. One of them's in a mansion, the other one's in a train, coupled with the fact this is directed by the same guy who did the lousy Star Wars movie. I wasn't trying to watch this one. But I mean, if you put it on Amazon, I'm probably going to watch it. Well, holy cow, am I glad I watched this. This is probably one of the better movies I've seen in a long time. Christopher Plummer plays the Mr. Thrombey, the rich white man who kills himself, or at least it looks like he killed himself, and there's kind of investigation to try to figure out if he was murdered. The suspects are Linda, the oldest daughter. She's played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Richard, Linda's husband. Walt and Joni, Meg. There's Ransom. And there's Marta, the nurse. And every one of these characters is dialed in so good. It's so much fun to watch them in every single scene. They all have these weird quirks and like flamboyant characteristics that kind of defines them and just makes them who they are and makes them a lot of fun to watch. And seeing the dynamic of all of them together is also very fun to watch. The main detective is played by Daniel Craig. He plays Detective Blanc. And for this movie, I mean, he put on a thick, over-the-top Southern accent, and it's hilariously funny to watch. Kind of reminds me of Heath Ledger's Joker. Not that it's a similar portrayal, it's just so much fun to watch them. Anyway, every single one of the suspects has like an established motive, and it really is a whodunit. You're trying to piece together kind of, well, it could be this person for this reason, maybe this person for that reason. Like everybody kind of has like a shadow of doubt in their story. And in a lot of the scenes with these characters, there's often a spot where they're like in shadow, you can't quite see their whole face, which really adds to the whole idea that it really could be anybody. Including the detective. There's a scene where Detective Blanc is completely in shadow except for like a burning tip of his cigar. And it really makes you wonder what he's potentially hiding as well. You also have some great performances. Daniel Craig did a fantastic job. The woman who plays Marta did a wonderful job, and you really believe when the father character dies, it really impacts her, and you can really see that through her performance. I wish I would have seen more from Jamie Lee Curtis. That's not to say she didn't have a significant role in the movie or that her performance was bad. I just would have liked to see more of her, especially coming right off of Halloween. I'm sure a lot of people would have liked to see more scenes with her, or maybe more eccentric personality come out in her performance. I don't want to give too much away. I know in a lot of my other reviews I give an awful lot away, but those are also, 20, 30-year-old movies. So, in my mind I'm thinking, who cares? If you haven't seen it by now, then it's not that big of a deal. But for this movie, I know that it's kind of new, and a lot of people might not have seen it, so I'm not going to give a lot away. But there are some interesting scenes that I can talk about without giving too much away. The movie does a little bit of kind of social commentary, a little bit of political commentary, a really interesting take on class and wealth and race. Mr. Thrombey's family, the entire family, basically is completely supported by Mr. Thrombey. None of them really made their own wealth, and they're all dependent on him, and they're just very entitled to his money and his fortune. And as the movie goes, it kind of comes into question on whether or not they're actually going to get it. Seeing the fear that they have about potentially losing everything, it's an interesting take on, the rich, white, powerful family, maybe not as powerful as you think they are because they're all dependent on their father's wealth. There's also some racial commentary. Marta is Hispanic, and this, the rich, white family, as highly as they speak of her, they still condescend to her. There's a scene where Richard's talking to Marta, trying to make it seem like she's just as good as them, even though she's Mexican, which in and of itself is a condescending conversation. But while he's saying that, like, he's like handing her a dish to take away as if she's a servant. So there's lots of mixed messages, just them overall being just completely unaware of how racist and classist that they really are. There's a little bit of political commentary in there, but not a lot. There is a short scene where a few characters are like arguing politically, but both sides, the right and the left, are portrayed by like the worst stereotype. On the left is some wacky liberal hippie, kind of very earthy, like rubbing crystals together kind of a person. On the right is just some flat out, build the wall racist. So either side takes an extreme stance. And that actually kind of leads me to my next point. The demographic that is mostly painted in a bad light is the wealthy. The wealthy characters are so outrageous with bold and like polarized personalities. The entire Thrombey family, with the exception of the father, is just so eccentric. I mean, even Detective Blanc isn't immune to this. It's as if their wealth eliminates their ability to be subtle or nuanced, or in some cases even agreeable. So the movie certainly isn't subtle on its depiction of these issues. That's by choice. These characters are all kind of caricatures, kind of these over-the-top personalities. Marta and her family, being the ones to represent the kind of the poor common folk, are just about the only normal people in this movie. In fact, Marta seems to be the only one who is even affected by the death. She's visibly sad throughout the movie. Jamie Lee Curtis, does have one scene where she's kind of crying a little bit, but, her sadness is not consistent throughout the movie. And like the rest of her family, she's mostly interested in just collecting her father's money. So, on the surface, this is a whodunit, but without giving too much away, early on into the movie, you start to realize that it may not quite be a whodunit, but kind of the mystery and the suspense doesn't necessarily stay the same through the whole movie, which makes it a lot of fun to watch because it changes as the movie goes. This might be Rian Johnson's new calling. I hope it is. I know he kind of likes to do the old switcho changeo on you and kind of change the expectations as you kind of come up on it, which is kind of what ruined the Star Wars for a lot of people and for me included. But for a movie like this, that's kind of its bread and butter. You want to be guessing all the way through, and you kind of want to have that not quite sure of what's going to happen next feeling while you watch a movie like this. I'm super happy to see that there is a Knives Out 2 that's been announced. Daniel Craig's been announced as Detective Blanc, which I'm so thrilled for because he was already known for James Bond. I want to make this guy known for Detective Blanc. If that's the case, this is going to be a hilarious franchise to follow. Hopefully we get 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 movies with this Daniel Craig character and these fun mysteries. Altogether, like I said, much better than Murder on the Orient Express. The ending to Knives Out didn't feel like it was out of nowhere. You can see it coming if you follow the logic. It's on Amazon. If you have Amazon, you need to get on there and check this out because it's pretty good. And use the comments down below to let me know what you think. What was your favorite part of the movie? Did you see it coming? Are you looking forward to Knives Out 2? Because I know I am. Like I said, use the comments. And until next time, keep watching movies.